Yes, people, welcome back to Albert JTV match preview time. Arsenal versus Everton. But before we get into it, people, let's hit the intro. Yes, people, welcome back to Albert JTV. Another match preview. A very early one this week, but you know what? People's availability is not as it always should be. So I managed to get Rose on, luckily, for today. Guys, as you know, smash the like button, hit the notification bell, and follow Rose and subscribe to our channel because the content is banging. So, Rose, firstly, I must say thank you for coming back to the channel once again.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for asking me on.
Rose, the pleasure's all mine. I'm glad I asked you, you agreed to come on. Obviously, Arsenal versus Everton. Both teams' fortunes are not, how can I put it politely, not so great at the moment. So to put it politely, Rose, anyway.
Yes,
as you guys, yeah. As you guys are aware, there's been a lot happen in the last 24 hours. Me personally, I've sort of kind of got the gist of it, and I kind of took a bit of time away from social media for a little bit. It's good for the soul, but it's hard to ignore. Very hard to ignore. But guys, as I said, if you don't know what to do by now already, you should know. And there you have it, people. I will put this out on my IGTV later, and for my audio listeners, which I'm pleased to say, I will put this out later as well. Apparently, I have a podcast voice as well. Whether that's true or not, you guys will tell me in the comment section anyway. So, Rose, yeah, I sort of want to kick off with the obvious first before we move into our two beloved teams, the Gunners and the Toffees. I saw your video yesterday in reaction to this breakaway Super League, which broke during the Manchester United Burnley game. Some passionate words from Gary Neville, as there was tonight with him and Carragher tonight on Monday night. I'm sure you probably caught some of it, but yeah, I just want to ask you, sort of, is there anything more sort of you want to add to what you said yesterday? Because obviously there's been a lot of information on top of what we already kind of know. So yeah, was there anything else you wanted to sort of add to it, whether it's about the actual breakaway Super League and also the new format or new look, should I say, for the impending Champions League format? Rose, anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of fans, most fans maybe even, it just, in a year when we've had a pandemic and the fans are like clearly so important to every single football club, I think it's just a huge kick in the teeth. And if I was the fan of one of these 6 clubs, I'd just be really disappointed in them. I mean, it's from the club's perspective, from the owner's perspective, they probably don't understand the anger, because they'll say, well, we still want to compete in the Premier League and the Champions League. We just want this extra competition. Not realizing that the money that you'll get from that, regardless of how it's spent, if they say you can only spend it on infrastructure and everything else, they're saying you can't spend it on transfers.
Yeah.
It makes football more of a closed competition. Because I feel like if you allow this to happen, I've seen a tweet from quite a respected journalist, I think, and he said that this is the first step for the US owners. Like, this isn't the end of it. Like, oh, we'll have one breakaway league and that's it. They want to basically close the league off and say no relegation, no promotion. And then that destroys the football pyramid. I feel like the European Super League doesn't destroy the football pyramid. It harms it. But as soon as you say no promotion, no relegation,
madness,
that I mean, where do you go from there? It becomes like the NBA, it's the NFL. You know, it's just, yeah. I think that's where I'm scared of. That's where we're going in terms of the Premier League. If this happens, and if they do break away.
Yeah, I think it's. I've heard a lot of people say, obviously, with a lot of these sort of American owners, they sort of don't really get it with our culture generally with British sport. They just can't get their head around the promotion and the relegation thing. They just can't. They just want all these different franchises. And I think from an Arsenal point of view, big up to the people in the chat who's already there. Drop your comments in, please. This is something that's not going to go away. It's only picking up momentum. But as an Arsenal fan, Rose, I wasn't surprised that we was one of the clubs that have actually signed for this thing, because Kroenke's had many offers to sell up at Arsenal. And you know what? Yesterday highlighted why this guy has hung around, why this guy's still here, because he's been searching and looking for the Super League for however long this has been planned. This is not an overnight thing. You don't just wake up, the following morning and the next minute these 12 clubs have signed this sort of breakaway agreement thing. As I wanted to ask you, I mean, I watched I don't know if you saw it or not, or the guys in the chat. I was listening to Carvey Solico on Sky Sports, and football is, whether you like it or not, for some of these people in the hierarchy and the higher echelons, it is a business, right? I understand they're businessmen, so they don't have that affection and love that we have for football as they do. They just don't. But I listened to Carvey Solico, and some of the numbers, man, Rose, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, obviously everybody knows about JP Morgan. If people don't know, big American investment bank who are going to finance this breakaway deal, debt financing $6 billion.
Yeah.
They say about the Champions League, I think apparently the clubs get about between 50, 60, 70 million. I mean, these clubs will get £250 million a year.
Exactly. So
go on, Rose, come in.
So it's annoying, because you see, I understand it from that perspective. Like, football fans understand it, but this isn't, like you say, it's not coming from a place of rational, we can, let these clubs break away. It's coming from an emotional point of view, where do we want football, because it already is dominated. Like, if we're going to say both points of view, it already is dominated by the Bayern Munich, the Real Madrids. And I think Perez has come out and said that, he's wanted this to happen for about 20, 30 years. So like you say, it's been a long time in fruition. I think it will happen this time. But I just question, obviously there's been money in football for what, 40, 50 years? I mean, really, I think it's got to this point after the 1992 Premier League. Sky got the rights. And so I do think that Sky are quite hypocritical in that they're really criticizing this scheme, but actually you could argue that they were the ones that really started with the money they put into the Premier League and the football, and there's no football before 1992. So, I do understand that as well. I find it quite hypocritical that they're taking such a hard stance against it, when in the pandemic they wanted to make people pay-per-view games. So it's just, it's money against money is what I would say. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts about, the talk of, well, we'll kick you out of, for me, what I don't get, I'll put this as a question, is the timing. So you've got Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, all in semi-finals, I think I'm correct, of European competitions. And they announce it at the time where UEFA can say, well, you're out. You're out of this competition for this year. I mean...
I think they'll find it very difficult to enforce that in terms of, I've heard all this, if the players take part, if that's the case, then you might as well not have any competition, to be honest. I mean, I don't see how it's enforceable. I really, really don't. And the thing is, the timing of this, it was never ever going to be good timing for this breakaway league to come about. But I think out of the worst scenario, this is not the good time to be doing it, like Gary Neville said, during a global pandemic. And on top of that, it's no coincidence if this news has come out. Fans can't go to the games. So we can't.
Well, you see, Leeds and Liverpool now, they've already hosted a joint protest before the game. So can you imagine, what maybe Man United, Liverpool in a couple of weeks, the kind of protest that you'd see there with tens of thousands of people, it would just be mad. So it is very clever. I think, no fans, so we'll just, usher this in with little to no protest. And I think it's a shame because football was always a working man's sport. It's the money's been in there for years. Like, you can't say this is the first thing, but I just don't see what UEFA and the Premier League and the FA do, because I think all the power is with those top six in the Premier League and around the continent. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm quite intrigued.
No, you're right. Too much power in this. Is it too late? I'm not sure. And the thing is, I'm not being funny. You make a good point, Rose, about the Premier League, because these guys want to protect their own interests. I'm not being funny. FIFA and UEFA are two of the most corrupt organizations that I know, and probably the IOC and athletics. They're riddled with corruption.
Yeah, they're all corrupt. Yeah.
So it's a bit rich, UEFA being furious and talking about, what's the guy that came out, Alexander Serafin, talking about it's a spit in the face of football lovers. But I'll tell you what, okay, fair enough, you want to say that, but in terms of regards to racism, I don't see UEFA exactly at the front of the queue to prevent that from happening. Exactly. So it's a bit rich for them to turn around and say that. Rose, I want to ask you, what did you make of the supposed? I mean, I think I saw when you tweeted it, actually, to be honest, about the because there was so much stuff going on Twitter football. I actually missed in terms of what the new format was proposed in terms of the Champions League. Let me get it up on screen. Obviously, the audio listeners can't see it. Let me get my banner off the screen. So there's a few new formats. A new format is, let me read that, a new Champions League format, 36 teams instead of 32. New spots for, it's elite clubs that failed to qualify in blue writing, unbelievable. One league instead of groups. Best 8 to reach the knockouts. Other teams to qualify through new round of playoffs. Every club guaranteed 10 games, increasing revenue. What's your sort of thoughts in terms of, I know obviously, in terms of just a football fan and watching the Champions League, what's your thoughts about this new proposal?
The main issue I have with that is the second line, new spots for elite clubs that failed to qualify. If you fail to qualify, that means, like that year that Chelsea dropped out of the Champions League, they'd be back in. So that's the main one I take issue with. It absolutely is. Well, then this is basically, I think UEFA are annoyed that the European Super League, they kind of planned it already. They had this quote elite clubs already. So they're annoyed that the clubs got there first. I don't know, but this is happening from 2024, isn't it? So I think it destroys the competition. I think that one definitely will destroy, because Bayern Munich, for example, they qualify every year for the last 20 years. Okay, you take them out. Schalke having a terrible season, but use them as an example. Schalke have a fantastic season, but Bayern Munich are one of the elite clubs. They play them first and they kick them out. Like, how does that make any sense? I just don't know.
I mean, you know what I said? I did a match review yesterday. After our not so good performance against Fulham, and I think generally speaking, for football fans, I'd be surprised if you disagree with what I'm going to say, but I've always kind of thought, in terms of football fans of our clubs, where we are definitely bottom of the totem pole, man. And I think yesterday marked a dark day for football, man. Nobody should forget the 18th of April, man. And in regards to Arsenal, Rose, I have to say it, because don't get me wrong, I will struggle to find any fan, right, that has a good word to say about Stan Kroenke, right? But for the ones that was almost trying to give this guy sort of any resemblance of credit over the years, that went out the window yesterday. That 100% went out the window yesterday. I mean, the guy hasn't come to watch an Arsenal game for I can't remember when it is. We don't see him. So yeah, man, he's been hanging out. This is why this guy's been hanging around, man. Like I said, he's had multiple offers to sell Arsenal, and he said no. We know why he said no, because we saw what happened yesterday. This guy's been hanging out for this Super League, man. The clubs like Inter Milan, Juventus, and Barcelona, they're crying out for this because the debt they're in. These guys is again is astronomical. I think it's in the billions apparently.
Yeah,
and
I think also, you know, it's been years since some of these clubs have won the league. No, you know, hate intended, but you know, like, and you just think, I just don't get it. I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, you know, if I was a West Ham fan, and you know, and I'm sitting there, and then you hear this. So West Ham have the fantastic, you know, I've seen that comment by Carson Cole. You know, West Ham have had such a good season. They've, you know, overperformed with David Moyes in charge after years of, you know, languishing in mid-table. And let's say worst case scenario, they do kick you out. I don't see it happening. But if they do manage to expel you for at least this season, for me, for West Ham fans, when it take away the playing the best of the best and achieving, you know, as the underdogs. And I think that's what it's all about, football. It's about the underdogs going up against the big teams and beating them. And it's all about that. And I think we just lose it. When you give these already elite clubs 400 million, like you said, I think it's 425 million each year just from this competition.
And Rose, that's not even including. I mean, I saw the tweet yesterday. I can't remember the source it was on Twitter. It was talking about what the clubs would earn just for agreeing to take part, and that's anything in the ballpark between 100 million to 350 million. That's just to agree to take part. I mean, that could buy the amount of football clubs that could buy. I don't know, in League One, for example, in this country would be astronomical. So the money we're talking about here is just, to me, it's insane, man. You know what? Will it happen, Rose? There's part of me that says it won't, but you know, as the old saying goes, money talks, man. And these guys are very, very, very convinced, some of these owners, that they can push this through. I mean, I heard obviously Ed Woodward at Man United used to work for JP Morgan. So you know, and they was heavily involved in getting the Glazers to leverage the buyout at Manchester United. If there's a link, if you ever needed to know, there is one there straight away. So this is huge, man. This is it's a massive kick in the teeth. So Rose, when Arsenal, I don't know, when they play, you know, let's say they play, I don't know, let's say they go and play Tottenham, you have to go to Dubai to go and watch the game. So that's because that's what it's going to be like. It's good, like when they have these big pay-per-view boxing matches and they can host it in Saudi Arabia or Doha or whatever. That's what it's going to be like, and they'll get the money back because the fans will be. One thing Arsenal have done well, like many other clubs. Sorry, go on, Rose, come in.
I was going to say it's not for fans in this country, is it? Like it's simply to, you know, and I know our teams now are global, and it's because football is a fantastic sport and everyone wants to be involved with it. But yeah, I
don't think.
My issue with it is not that, you know, it's just it. First of all, it's midweek games. So how many of us, you know, let's say Everton were involved, how many of us can just afford to fly off to, I don't know, Miami, Dubai, you know, wherever? We can't do that, and it's just it's a real shame. But it's been in the making for years, and it's not really a shock. I think it will happen this time. I think, you know, I think those 6 clubs that are involved, I think they outweigh the 14. You know, I know there was a meeting today with the Premier League and the 14 clubs, but what can we do? I mean, Brighton, you know, we've got the likes of Brighton about it. Well, like, what can we say to make them stay? I think they're decided on it, and it'll happen for sure.
Yeah, I think there's too much. I think there's a lot of leverage behind it. Like I said, this is something that's been in the planning for a long time. I'll take you back to 17th of August 2009. Wenger said this will happen. Saw it in the Guardian newspaper many years ago. They said this will happen. Klopp was obviously strongly against it. You know, he was interviewed before the start of the game tonight. I expect him to say what he said. It's such a difficult position because obviously the players and the managers have been completely blindsided. It's like you're going into work. Oh, by the way, we're moving the company to another country. You're like, what? What's going? It's crazy. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, and you make a good point about because a lot of the football clubs they've grown so much commercially in different countries, and God, these guys, they eat up the merchandise to watch. They don't get to see Arsenal play very often, so for some of the international fans, and I'm not saying all of them because they probably feel for us fans in the UK as well that they'll get to see their team play more. They'll get to see their team play more, wherever you are in a pyramid around the country watching football. But no, Rose, it's great to get your opinion. The chat's live. You guys smash the like button. Thank you guys for coming into the chat. Big up Rose for coming on the channel again, man. Big up the Toffees. Not too much because we got them on Friday, but guys, man, the comments are lively, man. But yeah, Rose, this will rumble on and on and on. I also quickly wanted to ask you. I know this obviously doesn't affect our club, but you know, it's our rivals down the road. A certain manager's departed, or shall I say, been sacked today. What was your initial thoughts when you saw that happen? And before you answer, I put into context that he's been sacked obviously because of the results and the way it's been going for them this season, but you've also been sacked 6 days before a cup final.
Bizarre for me.
What's your thoughts? Yeah, what's your thoughts when you heard it this morning afternoon? I think it was.
Bizarre. I would have given him the cup final. If there's one thing Jose Mourinho can do normally, it's win trophies. And so, I understand that there's been a lot of problems there, but I think the players honestly have to look at themselves as well, because that squad is probably about where they should be. I mean, West Ham have had a fantastic season. Leicester have been great. So Tottenham being 7th, you know, Harry Kane's been carrying them all season. So, you know, Jose's not, a miracle worker, but at the same time, he hasn't helped with the toxic environment and calling out players. I think modern day players just cannot take that. I think as soon as you start digging players out, it happened at United, it's happened at Spurs. I think that the time for Jose to be great is probably gone. And it's a shame because I never like seeing anybody lose their job. I know for you guys, because they were rivals, it's probably quite funny, but I know he's doing all right. He'll be a few millions after this. So 2 sackings. He's doing well in terms of the compensation. So
I did see that. I did see that tweet in terms of what he's earned in terms of his sackings or when he's left clubs. He's not going to exactly struggle to have a nice healthy living after Tottenham, put it that way. But to be honest with you, I said with Mourinho before we move on to sort of our big game on the Friday at the Emirates. I said when he got sacked by Manchester United, if he does come back into English football in particular, if he's willing to change his method, stroke management style, whatever way you would have put it, by even 10%, then he might have a chance of competing with the likes of Pep and Guardiola and the other young up-and-coming dynamic head coaches. But because he's so arrogant and so stubborn, he's a winner, but he's not the guy that was when he first came to English football, when his first period with Chelsea. If he's not prepared to adapt, he hasn't got a chance. And as I said to yourself and when Holly was on the channel as well, big up Holly if you're watching somewhere. If not, I will send you the link anyway after the show's done. Some of the football I saw at Tottenham last season, geez, I tell you, I'd rather sit down and play chess. I mean, it was that bad. Terrible. But big up the guys in the chat. Got Red Cannon's in there, Russ is in there, Tim's in there, DWT's in there, everybody, loads of people in there. Rose, you brought the crowd over.
And I think it's the sorry to cut you off. It's a style of football, like you say. They've been terrible. Like we played them at, Everton getting another manager sacked. We played them. We should have won. They were awful. Like, we gifted 2 goals to them, and it was.
I'm going to come on to that.
For a Spurs team, it was bad. It was really bad.
No, well, I can't say I've got the Kleenex beside me with the plight at Tottenham, but they got a cup final, so we'll see. Um, Rose, we're gonna come on to obviously our impending fixture coming up. Enough Super League talk. We'll write about that another time, but that's why I got you on to talk about Arsenal Everton. Now, guys in the chat, tell me if I'm wrong. I was trying to look at the last time Everton beat Arsenal away, and it is a very, very long time ago. If I'm right, I might be wrong. I believe it is going back to Highbury days.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, 1996. You won 2-1, Rose. It's a long time.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
I knew the record. I knew the. Sorry to rub it in, Rose. Sorry. I knew the record wasn't good because even when I was trawling through I thought, oh my God, when's the last time they beat us? I'm looking through, scrolling down, and I saw it 1996. That's a long time. But Rosa, what I would say is you're playing a very different Arsenal side.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, you beat us at Goodison Park in December, I think a week before Christmas. I don't think we deserve to win personally. I want to touch on your last game against Spurs. I'll be honest, I didn't see all of it, but I obviously saw the goals, and particularly the second goal you guys conceded. Jesus Christ. What happened with going by what I'm seeing in terms of the stats on screen as we can see it? I know they say stats are not a good reflection all the time of a team's performance, but does that tell a lie what you see on the screen, or do you think your beloved Toffee should have won that game against Tottenham?
No, we dominated. Like, you see it there. Like, we absolutely dominated them. Just two really silly errors, like just ridiculous. Like, I haven't seen Michael Keane and Mason Holgate defend like that in a very long time. And so, I hope they get it out of their system because, for both of you guys, people talk a lot about Tottenham and Arsenal now, and like the drop off from the last few years, Arsenal in particular. But if we give you chances like that, you will score. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. We gifted them goals. Defense let us down. We missed our chances as well. Like, Richarlison had a chance and Josh King had a chance to put the game away, and we just didn't take it. And so it's the same old story, really. Not clinical enough, defensive errors. I hope we've got it sorted before our game on Friday.
How long is Dominic Calvert-Lewin out for? Is it serious, or is he back anytime soon?
I think he's back for the next game, hopefully. That's what Ancelotti said. So we hope he's back for that one.
Is that the game after Arsenal, by the way, just to ask you, Rose? To make
sure. No, it's for Arsenal.
Oh, for crying out. Oh, God. Here we go. It's a good timing again. But you say that about giving us chances, but I think when I remember last time, Arsenal were the joint lowest scorers in the Premier League in the top 11. Last season, we scored the least amount of goals in the top 8. And that was with Aubameyang scoring the amount of goals he scored. Our problem this season has been scoring goals, which is mad because if you look at the front line of Aubameyang, Lacazette, you can have Pepe over there, isn't play as a central striker, but
Martinelli I watched that game actually because I wanted to have some insight into you guys, like the Fulham game. I've just never seen an Arsenal team like that. With Arsenal, you may concede 4, but you'll score 3. Like that was my kind of take, even to a few years ago when you were under Arsene Wenger and you used to have those ridiculous score lines. You'd always provide a good attacking football. Now, like you say, struggling to score goals with but I know Aubameyang's had some off the field stuff apparently, and but you still got Lacazette, you still got Balogun. I've seen him a couple of times. He looks good, but
you probably seen him more times than we've seen him. The way Arteta won't give him any minutes. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
And then Martinelli, and I feel like you have got players definitely that can hurt us, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. You've got players that can hurt us, and I think like I say, our defense just has to be more solid. But I think definitely we can get at you guys because a very average Fulham team came to the Emirates and really put up an amazing fight and got a point. should have, maybe should have got 3, but got a point out of it, and they move on.
Rose, let me say something about Arsenal, right? I'm trying to be polite. Is it past watershed yet? No, it's not. So for me, that game yesterday, I actually thought the first 20 minutes we was okay. After that, there's been many games Arsenal played this season where we don't really dominate teams. We don't really cut teams open, but we still manage somehow with the lack of strength in our midfield to create chances. But that's mainly down to the front four. But Fulham have still gotten a horrendous record in London. I mean, they hadn't won in like 22 games against any London side.
About to win.
Yeah, and don't get me started on VAR either, so because we could be here all day. But I'll be honest, when we went 1-0 down, I wasn't shocked, not because Fulham were playing fantastically well. It's the way our season has gone. I don't think it was a penalty anyway, if I'm being honest. I thought the guy dived, like many people thought, but it got given. You know what it is with Arsenal? There's always a stark reminder of where we are as a club in many different levels. And I mean, this game against your boys on Friday, this could end up 2-2. It could end up 1-1. It could end up 0-0. It could end up 3-0. I've got no idea what Arsenal team's going to turn up. Nobody does.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you. So I want to get both teams up in terms of the last games they played, and we're going to sort of touch on how close you think that starting lineup will be, and vice versa, what might be on Friday. With Arsenal, it's a bit difficult because, Rose, I don't know if you see with a lot of Arsenal team picks this season, I don't think any fans got it right because we haven't got a clue what Mikel Arteta is going to do. So I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this on screen now. So these were the teams that started. Obviously, your game against Tottenham. The score prediction, which I got right, by the way, 2-2. Desmond and Arsenal's team. With the Everton side, do you think that will be a similar team, or what changes would you make to take on Arsenal on Friday?
I think, the back four will have to be similar. I think Yerry Mina's out for quite some time. Jordan Pickford will stay. I hope Dominic Calvert-Lewin is back, and we can put him up front. I'd take Iwobi out, and I would play Richarlison out wide, and I'd probably go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Normally, when we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ancelotti likes to go with more like a 4-2-3-1. But I'd stick with that formation because I think it actually worked versus Spurs, and I think it could work against you guys as well. In terms of the midfield, to try and keep Saka quiet, to maybe get Alan on him. The midfield I'd actually probably keep the same. I think Sigurdsson had a fantastic game against Spurs. He always does.
Yeah, great finish, by the way.
Hammers was fantastic. Tom Davies was okay as well. We're so short in that area. He'll have to play. So probably my only change, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin is fit, I'd put Richarlison out wide and put Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front.
Okay, cool. I want to quickly ask you about Alex Iwobi. Before it starts you laughing, before you answer that, let me give you a little bit of context because the Arsenal fans will relate to what I'm about to say. Now, listen, I'm a fellow Nigerian, so I'm not just going to back someone because he's one of the brothers. Like, if I don't think you're going to cut the mustard at Arsenal, you're not going to cut it. But one of the frustrating things is with him was that he had the ability, obviously, to get to the final third, but his goals return and end product was just lacking. Do you? I don't know how much you saw of Iwobi at Arsenal, but what have you made of his time at Everton? Have you been impressed, or have you been sort of? Is your impression of him been a little bit diluted, should I say?
I remember he scored against us when he was on Arsenal, a gold kit. I remember him scoring there. I remember Iwobi, but it's just too inconsistent. It's end product as well.
Absolutely.
It's getting to the final third. He has the pace, he has the skills, but then it's the cross. It's it's the actual delivery that just lets him down. He's had some good performances this season, but just not enough of them. And for the money that we paid, I don't know how you managed to get 35 million.
That was a robbery,
but yeah,
man.
Yeah, it was, and I know a lot of fans now Everton fans in the comments might say, "I want us to sell him." I've seen people they want to sell him for 10 million, take a hit, take a loss. I think as a squad player, Iwobi is fine, but starting games consistently, no, I would just say no.
Yeah, I was just keen to get take away a bit. I'll give you back. Player one, no, it's fine. We've got enough issues at Arsenal as it is with the player recruitment we've already got. So, yeah, we've got a lot of money for Iwobi. Actually, he's one of the very few players we sold at Arsenal over recent years where we've got a decent amount of money for them. Him and Oxlade-Chamberlain, the others, we just do not sell very, very well at all. With Everton, if I've got this right, Rose, correct me if I'm wrong. Do a little bit. Was it 1 win in 7, including the FA Cup, 1 win in 6 in the Premier League? Last win was the 4th of March against West Brom away.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I didn't realize your form was that bad. Why has it been so? Why is the form? I know you've had a lot of injuries. Even I know that. I mean, you could do another team with the amount of injuries you've got. But what other than that, what's the main reason why you've had such a poor run of form in the last 7 games?
I think the players. I don't want to blame the manager. The manager is doing the best with what he's got. The players have to take some responsibility. I mean, to lose to Burnley at home the way we did, to not turn up against Brighton where the Europe conversation is still there. Just too many performances like that. I don't know what it is with the players, whether some of them may already know that they're not part of the plans next year, and so they're not that bothered about where Everton finish. I'd like to think that's not the case. But then, yeah, when you combine that with injuries and combine that with probably a mentality issue as well. Yeah. As soon as you start talking about top 4 and top 6, our players tend to crumble because they haven't been used to it, honestly. So I kind of put it down to those things. The only times I've really questioned Ancelotti is some of his lineup, some of his substitutions have been quite negative. But in the last game, his substitutions worked, his lineup worked. So yeah, I'm not going to dig out Carlo Ancelotti, definitely not.
I was going to ask you, who's been sort of your one player that you was expecting a lot from at the start of the season and you feel hasn't sort of delivered? What's the sort of mood amongst yourself and the Evertonians in terms of players delivering and who hasn't delivered, shall I say?
How many? Yeah, how many can I name?
As many as you want.
I'd probably say Mason Holgate. I really like Mason Holgate. He's good on the ball. Well. Yeah. He plays a centre back, right back sometimes. And I was expecting that this season now him to make that centre back position his own, but he hasn't. I favour the likes of Yerry Mina now and Ben Godfrey, and he's been surpassed essentially in terms of the back 4. He may have to play because Seamus Coleman can't play all the time, but Coleman when he came on was fantastic. To be honest, kind of an opinion that I have is when you showed me that lineup, you could take out Iwobi and put Seamus Coleman in and play him as a right winger, genuinely, because he hasn't got the legs to get up the pitch and back now, but that could be a good way to use Iwobi. To use Coleman, take out Iwobi, and if Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't fit, then we could try that. So yeah, and get at Xhaka, who of course you haven't got a left back right now, so.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning Xhaka's now. I'll try to keep his name out of the stream, but it's fine. It's all right, Rose. I'll let you go. Thank you. But no, I mean, in terms of, I actually think, if I'm honest, I think this is probably, I know you've got a lot of injuries. I think if you do get Dominic Calvert-Lewin back for Friday, I think this is one of your better opportunities to actually get a win at the Emirates. Just because Arsenal have lost 6 games at home this season. If we'd have lost against Fulham, it would have equaled our worst home campaign in the league season since the early 90s. That's a long time ago. I mean, I know obviously people talk about no fans being in the stadium and it being an atmosphere problem, but that's the same for all the clubs. But that to me is no excuse to have home form as bad as Arsenal have had. So I think you might have a puncher's chance, to be honest, because we've also got some key players missing.
Yeah.
I mean, our injury list in terms of Lacazette worryingly came off the other day. It looked like a hamstring injury. I've not heard anything since then. Guys in the chat, drop in the chat if you know any updating news, or if you've got any special contacts at London Colney, then drop in the chat. But yeah, obviously Lacazette, Aubameyang is not back, obviously, because he's got malaria. We know Tierney's out. We know Louise is out. Erdegaard hopefully should be back soon. So the injuries are catching up. I was going to ask, so Rose, who's the one key Arsenal player who you're fearing your intrepidation of, Rose, on come Friday?
I'd probably say Saka. I watched him against Fulham, and I watched him a few times, and I think he's a player with a really big future. He's good on the ball, quick, likes to take on defenders, and that's when our defenders tend to panic. So we'll see. I think Saka's a player that I rate, alongside the likes of Greenwood and Foden and a lot of the other youngsters coming through for England. So yeah, I'm excited to see him play. Hopefully he has a bit of a quiet day though, and Luca Dean or Seamus Coleman keeps him quiet, whichever side he plays on.
Well, Rose, just to let you know, I've secretly tried. I've DM'd Saka just to say, you got to put it in on Saturday, mate. Come on, it's on Friday, mate. Come on, bro. I like Luca Dean, as I said to you last time you came on my channel. I think he's a fabulous fullback. Guys, we're gonna wrap up. So I'm gonna ask Rose a couple more things before we go. But guys, smash the like button, like I keep saying. Follow Rose on our YouTube channel, and yes, I have subscribed to her channel, so make sure you do it as well, people. But guys, if you don't know what to do by now, as I've said, then I will give you a little reminder. And there you have it again, people. So yeah, guys, like I said, smash the like button. Follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, which is going along the banner at the bottom of the screen. Instagram is at AUMO15. Twitter is at AUMO57. Like I said, I will download this later on Anchor FM and Spotify. So you get to hear my podcast voice, like I said at the beginning of the stream. But Rose, I want to ask you before we wrap up, score predictions for Friday. What's your honest answer, considering your away record at Arsenal, should I say, in the league?
No, I'm going to go a bit optimistic because our away form this season has been pretty good. We scraped a draw at Man United. We beat Leicester away. I'm forgetting it was that long ago, though. That's the only worrying thing for me, is that our bad form is, Liverpool away, of course, have to get that in there all the time. We've gone to these places where normally we, roll over and just say, oh, you're a top 6 team, right? Tottenham away, we've beaten them. So, no, not that says very much this season. Let's see. I'm going to actually go with the 2-1. I can see us sneaking it this time because, like you say, you guys have been really struggling to score goals.
I'm joking.
So it's 2-1 to Everton. I think I'm going to go with this time.
Ooh. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I think our home place is not a fortress, man. Like that myth has been displayed, man. So, I mean, what this strange with our history in the Premier League, even going back to hybrid days, man, we either win against you or it's a draw. There's only 2 results that seem to happen. You don't seem to win at Arsenal, but hopefully that doesn't happen on Friday. But I'm gonna go for Arsenal 2. God, we've only had like 1 clean sheet in 16. Jesus. No, I'm not gonna. No, I was gonna say 4-1 Arsenal. No, not 4. That's too much. No, we're not gonna score 4. Trust me. I'm gonna go Arsenal to sneak it 2-1. But what I would say to the people in the chat, if you're betting people, don't put that bet on at all. Put a bet on both teams to score. That I would say that's a safe bet. But Rose, I want to big you up again for coming to the channel. You're always welcome back on here when we can get you once. But Rose, I appreciate you coming on. Where can the guys find you for your brilliant content?
So you can find me on Everton Rose. I'll type it in the chat while I speak. So you can find me on Everton Rose on YouTube. I do match reviews, lots of videos with different fans, like today. And then on Twitter, you can find me at Everton Rose YT. And then on Instagram, you can find me. It's Everton__Rose. Unfortunately, it's different on each platform, but there you go. I've typed it into the comments as well.
Rose, that is fine because I don't have the same details on each platform, so we're peas in the pod. But guys, Rose, yeah, very easy to find. Go and subscribe to her channel. Yes, I'm a gooner. Yes, she's a toffee lady, but you know what? It's football community. That's what it's about. Guys, smash the like buttons. I keep on saying. Like I said, I've got Rose's link in the description. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Go and subscribe, people. So I want to thank Rose for coming on. People in the chat, thank you. This was obviously going back on Facebook Live. This is also on YouTube and it is on Periscope still. So guys, that is me, your host, Albert JTV. Twitter handle is on the screen at AUMO57. Come and subscribe if you haven't already. But all that's left for me to say, people, is hashtag AlbertJTV. Arsenal versus Everton. Come on, you Gunners.